Did somebody say short break? I think they did. Hello and welcome back to a very, very fast turnaround. Omega Gaming Lunar Catalyst Carbon are going to be just jumping into these drafts. My name is Diatripa, and I am once again joined by the one and only Rue Dude. We are going to see the Barda Echo banned out again, and this time a lot of support bans being banned by Omega Gaming Lunar.
Yeah, similarly, these are pretty much the same bands, I believe, as game number one here,
Hmm.
with the three support bands, Catalyst as well, respecting Rebels Bard. They get that band away as well. Pretty similar start out to how we saw game number one, in fact, and the B1 Karma, one of those champions that I'd love to see picked up first, just because of the amount of flexibility that she offers. And last game we even got baited by it, thinking it was going to go in the support role. Ends up going top lane on Etherno, and no doubt that mid lane can play it, support can play it. So picking it up for Omega here, they get a lot of flexibility early on in the draft.
Yeah, and Quadriflex is super important, especially when you are playing on that blue side. Does give you more availability to counterpick than you would otherwise have. And I like following this up with the Ashe as well. Karma Ashe is going to be a very stereotypically strong lane, and you're going to be walking into a Senna who has a lot of sustain anyway. And so even if you don't choose to pick up something like this Karma there, Ashe is already going to be securing you so much priority that I don't feel like you'll be suffering too much in a lane that otherwise we saw be very oppressive.
Yeah, they really did that. Well, can I talk, please? Uh, I want to see this get locked in. If Casting gets locked here, I'm going to be super happy because yes, okay, thank you. Teams aren't respecting the priority of Cassidin. I'm really happy with this because Cassidin versus Orianna is a fine matchup for the Cassidin. Cassidin's main weakness comes from the fact that pre-level 6 he doesn't really do a lot, isn't really a champion. He's able to go uh, maybe a little bit behind the Ori, but that's fine because as soon as he reaches level 6 he just does so much more than the Orianna. And the fact that they pick up the Cassidin here, they're able to pick up a mid laner in the first round of rotation is super important. It doesn't get banned away. And Cassidin, we talked about the scaling that Senna has. The scaling that Cassidin has is just as strong, if not stronger.
And honestly, Cassidin I think is a little bit of a confidence pickup too, given that we saw the Aurelia being picked up for Gosha last time. Now being able to grab the Cassidin for himself, I think that this is a commentary on how easily that mid lane went in terms of farm. I didn't feel like there was really any punish on the fact that Aurelia was melee and was going into Oriana. So I think that this is very much I am going to be able to scale. I am going to be able to reach my level 6. I won't even be that behind. And this is something that I think Cataclysm have to challenge in their draft, or at least convincingly in their gameplay during these first couple levels.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you with that one. That the early levels are really really going to be important for them. And we move on into this second phase of draft right now. We've got the bans coming through. Jungle bans picked up by both teams here. So, neither one of them wanting any of these power picks. Since 1016, the Evelyn buffs come through. A lot more teams I've seen Evelyn get prioritised in the ban phase just to make sure. And this isn't something that we see too often in drafts. Junglers getting banned out isn't what happens because junglers normally just get picked up in the first phase. But nice adaptations coming through with the mid lane pickups means that the jungle pool is pinched quite considerably. But Omega here, okay, I was just about to say this, that with two immobile carries, the Jarvan priority is going to increase so much because they have two immobile carries. If they get locked up in the Cataclysm, it makes it really easy for Kassadin to do his work. Makes it incredibly easy for Riftwalks to stack, to land. I'm really happy that Catalyst have actually taken this away. The issue that they have is they can't lock down a Kassadin with a Jarvan.
Yeah, and there aren't going to be a lot of options to, like you said, lock down or punish that Cassidon. And although, like the early gank pressure from the Jarvan is of course going to be something you can look at. There's the gangplank that we saw last 2 weeks ago, and this is actually a very very strong pick for the top side of the map. Etherno looks really good on this pick, and I think this is a really smart play from them to be able to put out more of that global pressure, have a really intense side lane, something that can go toe to toe with even something, even a very powerful pick, something like an Urgot. I feel like Gangplank can be really good into, and Etherno feeling confident against Mystical Rogue here is going to end up going against that Kale.
Ooh. We fight scaling with scaling, say Catalyst here. Jarvan, oh not Jarvan, the Kale and the Gangplank. Uh, going up into the top side of the map, I think early on that Gangplank's actually going to be able to do a little bit of work versus this Kale, at least pre-6, whilst the Kale is still melee. There's definitely an opportunity for this Kale to get set really far behind. Zac ganks incredibly well as well in the top side, in the mid lane as well. Reach level 5 on Zac, you have lots of range in your slingshot, lots of potential for the Kale to be in danger on this top side, so we'll have to see whether or not that comes to fruition, whether or not that's where they end up focusing. There's lots of things that can go well. I think though that looking at the draft in-game client rather, that's a Camille and not a Kale. So this is the beauty of Pro Draft.
Amazing.
This is why we use it.
Outplayed once again by Pro Draft.
So everything about the scaling, I guess you can still count it because Kale does scale. Camille does scale really well. So, uh, eh, ums and ahs. I think
Yeah,
that
I think that certainly. Go ahead.
by
Go ahead.
by and large, I think that Omega have got incredibly strong team comp here. I think that they scale really well into the late game, and I think that Catalyst don't really have the tools to punish that scaling or punish the weakness in the early game.
No, I'm not seeing it either. I feel like Omega did really pull out ahead here in draft at least, and something we haven't really gotten the chance to talk about is this Braum that I feel like is part of the reason that we see Catalyst Carbon fall behind in this draft. This pick didn't really end up doing anything for them. When I saw it, I was like, okay, it doesn't have a amazingly strong pressure lane with Senna, um, and isn't really contributing too much to the composition yet. And I still don't feel like he's going to be doing an incredible amount. Doesn't block a whole lot of key abilities from Omega, and being able to stack up the Winter's Bite, while it is important, isn't going to be facilitated as much by a team with no real attack speed, especially now that something like the Kale isn't going to be locked in. And I don't know. I do feel like Omega, at least compositionally, have found themselves an advantage, like you say.
Yeah, exactly. I think that the sort of theory behind the Braum is that as long as he just auto attacks the casting, that they can lock it down and stun it. But we look at the
Mm-hmm.
champions that they've drafted, and yes, the auto attacks are powerful from the center, but they aren't too frequent. So applying all of those stacks is going to take a little bit longer than you'd expect, and it's probably going to take them longer to apply the stacks than it is for the Kassadin to kill them in the later game stages. So these are things that we have to look out for, and we have to think how many times is Camille going to be sat in the backline applying Braum passive um, when Camille really wants to just be diving in the backline.
Yeah, and I actually, speaking of this Camille, I think that top lane, as much as I wanted to see a little bit focus from just Belmont into the mid lane to try and set this Cassidy behind, I think that top lane is where we're looking now, because Camille versus Gangplank is going to be one of those more volatile matchups, especially if Etherno is able to enforce his will over the map. We've seen him play this Gangplank really well before and be able to buy his team a lot of space, a lot of time, and certainly into a matchup that you wouldn't be too unaccustomed to as somebody who plays a lot of Gangplank. Gangplank into side laners is going to be really common. I feel like this could quite easily turn into a game of side lane difference for Omega if the Camille isn't piloted properly.
Yeah, it really can. I think we know that Etherno can perform on the Gangplank as well, and I want to sort of amend what I said earlier that the early game just isn't there for Catalyst. And I think that I may have done them a little bit of disservice because Camille Jarvan on the top side of the map is going to handily win this 2 versus 2. So I want to see Catalyst Carbon play to that top side of the map and make it so that they can win through some avenue because Castin's going to outscale the Ori, and I think that bot lane the Ash is going to do a lot of work in terms of providing, or in terms of being able to stay safe with the Karma by her side, and also being
Mm.
able to find the backline access with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Yeah, actually, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, something that we didn't get a chance to talk about too much here, is that is basically half the engage options for Omega. They have the Cannon Barrage and they have the Zac Jump. But Enchanted Crystal Arrow is something that we see be a real ADC difference indicator. And Rapid Fire certainly does have the talent to be able to pull the trigger on a lot of these early engages. And I'm looking for him to be able to find these arrows once we hit those level 6 marks and we start looking for these mid game skirmishes, looking for jungle priority, looking for these early dragons. Being able to say, hey, that's an opening, there's the arrow, we got it, is going to be a real determiner of how much success Omega can find in that mid game while they're waiting for Kassadin to scale, and while Gangplank does have that global presence.
Yeah, exactly. And, we just think about how these team fights are going to play out in terms of, who's going to do what, etc. And I think that the backline here for Catalyst Carbon is going to have to position so incredibly well to keep themselves alive. They're trying to face up against Zach, Castin, and a Cannon Barrage. Three really easy things to get into the backline. Barrels as well from Eterno, if he's playing well, getting nice positioning. That those two things, those two champions, Castin and Zach alone, are enough in the late game to take out a Senna, to take out an Ori. And then I look at how the backline looks for Omega Gaming, and I think that Ash Karma is probably one of the best ways to deal with a Camille that you can find, because yes, Camille's going to lock you up in the Hextech Ultimatum, and maybe even get caught by the Jarvan Cataclysm. So I think that both teams actually rather are going to have serious difficulties when playing AD carry for this game.
I absolutely think so, and in that terms, Senna is going to feel a little bit better in terms of the value that she can provide to her team, even when she's not right next to them. But of course, Omega, like you mentioned, have a lot of options into specifically what Catalyst Carbon want to be doing. Well, we have talked about this draft a lot and the power that both teams bring. I feel like the onus is a little bit more on Catalyst Carbon, and we're going to have to find out whether they can execute on the win conditions that we've mentioned as we do get into game 2 that could potentially be the deciding game in this series. We're going to find out who walks away with the win, or whether we are going to a game 3 for Catalyst Carbon right after a short break. Hello and welcome back. It is me, Diatropa, joined by Rudude, and we are bringing you Catalyst Carbon versus Omega Gaming Lunar, Risen Premade Unstoppable. This is week 6, and we will have Omega Gaming Lunar approaching this time from the blue side of the map, and red side is going to be graced by the lovely one and only Catalyst Carbon. Again, going for that 3-man invade, looking for a little bit of information on the starts here.
Yeah, and this time it doesn't look like Luna are ready and there to give the response. It sort of looks like Luna put 3 members on the top side, sort of preempting the gang or preempting the invade, and they didn't really do anything with the members that they had there. So overall, just again a positive vision gain for Belmont. He's going to know exactly what pathing he wants to take, where OGN's going to start, all of that good stuff like that, and he's going to be able to relay that information to his lanes. And whilst I think that yes, Zach is good at ganking, I think that he really wants to get to about level 5. So they'll be able to tell if he's going for an early farming route, or if he's going to try and maybe look for some sneaky level 3 plays on the side of the map.
Yeah, which certainly is something that could happen. Although I fully expect him to go for something like that level 5, because we have a lot of scaling in this game for Omega Gaming Lunar. No pressure really for sort of that early presence. Really just needs to be there to protect his laners, and honestly to just become Zac in the mid game and be able to engage from, well, really anywhere, it feels like, for Zac. But Etherno taking some nice trades here early on, and we're going to see bot side starts for both junglers.
Yeah, they're gonna, looks like so far we're open to both clears from these junglers here. There's an option for Jarvan to go straight to his red buff here and then gank somewhere, or to just full clear entirely. Looks like the Zac, by starting with his red and golems, is going to be going for a full clear, because you do get really low from those golems. Obviously, Zac with the passive is able to keep himself topped up, keep himself safe with the globlets. Actually, using your W is something that all of Zac's abilities cost health. But if you use the W, you actually get more health back from your passive, because it's a percentage, and the cost of it is actually just a flat amount. So always use your W on Zac jungle, no matter how low you are.
Yeah, certainly is going to is quite a useful ability to be able to sustain early on, and we already see the Jarvan foregoing a little bit of that clear that we see Zac going for and looking for a third on this top side. He is only level 2, just Belmont's level 3, and does manage to land the knockup, so might actually be able to force a flash here. Etherno will walk his way out, though no grass being procced on that final parlay, but it's going to feel really good to be able to walk away from that. Just Belmont could stick around, though, looks for the next knockup, and will actually force the flash this time. Now we're going to see the jump forward from the Camille, securing herself first blood, and Etherno checking that one out a little bit too dangerous there, is going to give the kill over to his laner, and what we talked about could have been a volatile lane.
Yeah, and that's just a little bit greedy from Etherno right there. I like that he held his flash the first time around. I don't like that he face-checked the brush straight after that, knowing that Jarvan can be there just as easily. Really well played from Belmont to stay up there, to stick around and get the kill. And that was what I was talking about with the pathing. You get your level 3 off of the 3 camps, and you just gank immediately. And he's actually going to maybe be able to get a double crab off here, because he's just taken the top side one and is now looking toward the bot one as well, with Zac on the entirely wrong side of the map. Got an engaged top.
Yeah, it looks like Mystical Rogue did miss the hook shot there, so may actually be forced to flash himself to get away from this. No double barrel from Etherno does mean that he was going to be able to walk this one out, though does have the teleport to get himself back into the lane.
Yeah, he is. And actually, I want to quickly touch on the keystones that we've seen from Jarvans in this series, because that first gank that we saw was a prime example of why I think that OGN actually had the right keystone in game 1. He went lethal tempo, and Belmont's actually gone for the Conqueror in this game. And we saw it in that first gank on the top side that Conqueror didn't get procced at all in that fight. He was just stacking it up as best he could. If we see lethal tempo in the first gank coming through, I think he burns the flash of Etherno there and then, and maybe overall it doesn't net them the kill. But I think that lethal tempo Jarvan gets more access early.
Yeah, but Jarvan, who ganks early, is also going to have that access. I do like the point, and it looks like just Belmont won't be able to get much except for double flash in the bot lane, and that's certainly punishable later. OGN roaming up to help Etherno, who's having a little bit of trouble pushing this wave on. Doesn't want to get frozen on against Mystical Rogue when he doesn't have the teleport and is falling quite low on HP. Trying to get this one in, but looks like Mystical Rogue could just go for the kill here. I'm really not sure what's happening. OGN being called back now, but the wave is frozen against Etherno, and a little bit of miscommunication there. could potentially, it looks like, cost Gangplank his life. Mystical Rogue's going in. He's looking for a Therno. Jump from OGN is there. Mystical Rogue burns the flash. There's no pull back, but he's getting away with the barrels here. Nice shield. Hookshot should be available soon. They have to be careful, and the Mystical Rogue, even though he doesn't get the kill there, does burn his flash, but wins out entirely, getting a really nice freeze for himself, is going to be able to deny this Gangplank so much, and that feels absolutely terrible for the side of Omega Gaming Lunar.
Yeah, this early game really not going in their favour so far. They lose the Infernal Dragon early, and the Camille on the top side playing this lane incredibly well, even able to hold a freeze in the 2 versus 1 when they try and break it. Is going incredibly strongly up on this top side, going to be so far ahead in experience, so far ahead in gold, and be able to bully this Gangplank out no end. And it's really all off of that first gank from Just Belmont, set up Mystical Rogue with the kill, with the run of the lane, how he wanted to set it up, and he's done pretty perfectly with the advantage that he's been given. Sitting 10 CS up right now, and the wave just sort of pushing back now towards Eterno is going to net him a little bit of experience and a little bit of a way back into the lane, but I talked about it, the top side 2 versus 2 was where they needed to get ahead early, and they're definitely doing that.
Yeah, and I really like the moves from Just Belmont here. Has made his presence across the map known, even if the real net advantage has managed to be in that bot lane, or sorry, in the top lane. Bot lane hasn't been under as much threat. We see Scarred Rebel just roaming up here, could be caught out here, doesn't have the flash just yet, and Stoles has his ultimate available, could find 2 with the shockwave, only finds Scarred Rabble, but that should certainly be his demise. Nice jump in from OGN though, and they're turning this one around, will end up finding the Jarvan there. Stoles could be next to follow. Gosha has the ultimate available, but is just that level 6, doesn't quite have the damage yet. Mystical Rogue though has damage in spades, and is bullying out. Oh, Stoles could go down. Oh my god, my mind has... Gosha trying to turn that one around, has farmed up nicely on this Kassadin.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to draw our attention to, because this was the mid lane counter pick that we talked about here, and somehow they managed it on blue side of the map where you get blue side counter pick. Teams need to respect that they can't blind pick an Orianna now if you're looking against Omega Gaming, because this Kassadin has reached level 6, and you saw it there in the mid lane that she's no longer safe. This Kassadin has served it, or served his time in the melee jail, and now has escaped. It is going to be able to run rampant across the backlines if he's allowed to do so. Stoles has no flash and now has to be incredibly safe, because if his jungler's not nearby and Caston is in range to use his ultimate on you, then you're going to be in danger.
Yeah, now he has literal portals across the map. Mystical Rogue looking for trade on Eterno though, does have the Hextech ultimatum. Eterno might not be able to survive this one, doesn't have the health. Ooh, doesn't have the health available to him, but the Cannon Barrage apparently will be enough to zone away. Mystical Rogue not wanting to chase in and get kited.
Oh,
now
no.
looking for something in bot side, does have the passive available to him, so it's just going to be running straight for it. Scarred Rabble looking to follow up, and Rapid Fire is here to do the damage. Urian falling so low is going to be exhaust thrown down onto Rapid Fire. Now they're looking for Fizz. Scarred Rabble doesn't have the continued lockdown available to him just yet, and though both bot laners fall, though they will survive.
They definitely get themselves away. They do have to burn 3 of 4 summoner spells. Importantly, Fizz still has his, so he's going to be able to keep himself safe more than anything. Braum Flash doesn't particularly do too much in terms of peel, but he's going to be able to use that if he's ever in danger. Nice evasion of the gank. They burn the Zac passive as well, so cooldown worth noting that has been expended. And CS lead slightly in favour of Rabble and Rapid Fire down bot. They're going to get a nice denial of experience as well as they push in this wave, and are going to be able to get that final one and likely reset themselves. So, we talked about the top lane going in favour of Catalyst, but mid and bot lane for me going in the favour of Lunar.
Yeah, mid very, very convincingly as well. We look at the CS there, and I mean, I know that we already talked about it, but good God, you've got to be afraid of this Kassadin, who's up 20 CS on his ranged opponent. And I mean, next Dragon could be something that we see contested for Omega Gaming Lunar. Even if you don't have the advantage in that top side, you do have the global, and Eternal's managed to play pretty safe.
He really has, and he's managed to close up that CS lead. Managed to actually close up the experience lead as well, and I don't know quite how he's been able to do that. I feel like there must have been some mismanagement in the wave, at least from Mystical or something along those lines, but for me, I think that Inferno should be really suffering a lot more than he has been, and we saw the top lane all in, and I think that Inferno needs to die there if they want to continue this snowball, because outside of the early kill that we saw in the early denial, nothing really too much has happened. Just Belmont is, you know, he's trying to make himself known on the map, but since the early stages, not too much has happened. We see pings coming into the mid lane here. Stoles could be in danger.
Yeah, it looks like Stoles could go down here. Flash not available for him yet. That should be just his death, as even the arrow was thrown in there in case he had the flash. It looked like he certainly would have needed a flash to get to it, but nice advantage picked up the mid lane.
Yeah, this is, you know, just going to be so difficult now. I think that this casting is going to be in an incredibly strong spot to try and take over this game. It's something that you hate to see if you're on the enemy team, but casting getting kills and having nearly 30 CS lead over your enemy laner is, it's going to be so difficult for Catalyst to really do anything as we reach these mid-game team fights. You know, Casting reaching just level 11 is such a huge power spike. Whenever you get an upgraded ultimate on Casting, you just feel so much stronger, and he's really not going to be stopped in any way in terms of scaling into this mid and late game.
No, it certainly doesn't feel like it, and they managed to pick themselves up a dragon as well. Importantly, Mountain Dragon, which will provide Kassadin even more ability to survive when he does jump into that bot lane. Even if they do want to try and burst him down, now going to potentially be even harder when he's able to pick himself up those resistances. If they're no, like we mentioned, being able to play safe in this top side, might be able to get away, does force the flash there, and the Cannon Barrage might be enough. Almost picks up Mystical Rogue with a parlay at the end there. Just Belmont and him will fall quite low, but will end up managing to get themselves that kill, get themselves the push into this tower, and might be able to pick him up a plate or two.
Yeah, they get themselves the kill, which is really well played. You know, nobody dies either, so really overall just a successful gank, and this is what we needed from Catalyst, and they're using this Rift Herald actually really effectively here. They should be able to take down this entire turret with the Herald charge here. Those two plates are going to be demolished.
Teleport though, watch it as Etherno, he's looking for the kill onto the Jarvan. Camille is already dead. Zach has picked that one up for himself. They do get that turret, and they sacrifice what looks like it could be 2 kills here. Parlay is available, and he will just take down Just Belmont. Ultimate from the Senna is too little, too late. Fizz also falling quite low, and now, as much as we have that turret gone, and that's going to feel good, you're losing even more pressure, and we see Gangplank be able to pick up a kill for himself. Now has the potential to freeze the lane on the top side as well, while he forces Camille to overextend, and...
You're making rude noises right now when you're talking.
I picked it up from somewhere, and ooh, you're in. Ooh, Fizz. Oh, the flash in from Rapid Fire. This is what we wanted to see 2 days ago. Is going to find Urian as well. Double kill for the Ashe.
TP in the
Beautiful
river.
flash invested. Looks like Mystical Rogue should int his life away as he throws that hook shot, and ow.
That feels bad. You know, Lunar coming out well on the 2v2 and the bot side as well now. They managed to pick up the kill with the teleport from Etherno, and the teleport from Mystical Rogue is unfortunately lacking in the execution. The hookshot missing the wall, just getting a little bit too aggressive there, or too excited rather. Doesn't manage to find the kills on two champions that were sitting free for me at least.
Ooh, Ghost has already used the ultimate. Does manage to dodge out on the flag and drag though, so we'll get away. And yeah, like you mentioned, a little bit of lost advantage there, especially because they have now invested the teleport, and Stoles just goes down. Just Belmont can't find the knockup again, and this is Gosha getting away for free. It looks like the flash will be forced as Cataclysm is invested. Nice call there from Just Belmont to at least get something off that, but Stoles actually just can't be left alone in this mid lane anymore.
No, he actually can't, and that's just the power of casting at this point. He's 4 levels up on the jungle. I don't know how many up in the mid lane, but with the CS lead like that, full Rod of Ages completed, this is going to be incredibly rough. Gosha is in such a strong position right now. So is Rapid Fire as well. He's picked himself up the Man Immune. That's stacking away nicely. He's 2-0 off that bot lane play. This is, like I say earlier, was going to be a game of topside versus bot side, and I don't know that Camille has the power to outcarry a Kassadin and an Ashe.
Yeah, especially not when she's just sitting at that 98 CS, has less CS than every single solo laner on the side of Omega Gaming. Lunar, even Rapid Fire, who is down those levels, and they're going to need to work as a team. It looks like Omega Gaming Lunar looking to kill Stoles once again. Still no flash available. Will take him down. And Gosha's getting bigger by the second. Like we
Oh,
mentioned, I don't know if we can contest this.
I did a bad thing again with the spectates, Diatropa.
Uh-oh,
We
what do we do?
we turned the speed up to about 2 times speed for a little bit there.
All right, where should I meet you?
We're gonna pause at 1540. What we did see is a kill happen in the jungle. Um, I don't know what happened. I clicked a key on the keyboard. I'm sorry, guys. This isn't professional in any way. Um, Let me know when you reach it and we can resume. It was just Belmont getting caught out in his jungle. I think OGN
Yeah,
do
I
it.
am at 1540.
Okie dokie. 3, 2, 1 on pause. Wonderful. I do apologize, guys. That was I don't even know how that happened. I was trying to toggle vision and then a thing happened. But either way,
Life is hard, and this game could be even harder for Catalyst here as they are trying to fight their way back in. Even if we're running at 2x speed, it feels like right now they're going to have to be moving even faster around this map. Rapid Fire now is pushing in the mid lane. We have Cassidy in a nice side lane, and Mystical Rogue can't even contest him alone right now. So they're going to need to manage their map movements intelligently. Stoles on the top side here as Dragon is spawning. I think they're giving this one up.
yeah, I think that as much as giving it up seems the right play because they have a incredibly scary Cassidin, the Cassidin's not going to get any weaker, and I think that you just kind of have to bite the bullet and try and take the fight because 3,500 gold down versus a Cassidin, you're never getting that gold lean is never going to close. The Cassidin's never going to become weaker in any sense. So I think this is just sort of we're watching a memorial service here, a slow burning of a team trying to claw their way back however they can, but I just don't know that they have any of the tools available.
Yeah, literally getting stronger by the minute is this Cassidy now sitting on the Rod of Ages as well. And as much as I'm looking towards Stoles to be able to answer in some way and find those key ultimates onto Rapid Fire, onto Eterno, perhaps if he's engaged in these fights, there is going to be a lot of not only execution but maybe lack of damage for his ultimate there, and Mystical Rogue and Urian not necessarily going to be able to back it up. It is still execution heavy, though. There's a lot of pick potential on the side of Cataclysm, and that's what I'm looking for them to use.
Yeah, they need to try and execute with this job and with this Camille because the two ultimates, that they're the two power points that they have in this team, and if they're able to lock down the Cassidin with the Camille ulti, then the Cataclysm can come through, and maybe they can find a kill onto this Cassidin because, we look across the bounties here for Lunar. They've got a large amount. Crystal Arrow goes wide. Rapid Fire missing the mark on that one, but just as I was saying, the bounties that are coming across from Lunar here, this is a lot of gold that can be picked up, and if this lands in Urian's pocket, or even Mystical Rogue, I think there's a world for a slight comeback, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, there certainly is, and I'm really not sure if there is an item breakpoint where Camille is able to duel the Cassidin, but certainly will be able to provide a lot of value in team fights, and again, if the rotations are right, it's certainly something we can look for. Just Belmont, Lycan drags forward, but doesn't seem to want to engage just yet. They don't have a lot of damage hanging out with them, and Stoles is rotating down. They could be looking for something here, as they are committing a lot of resources to this. Eterno has been able to pick up quite a bit of farm in the side lane as well. Now sitting on that Trinity Force and building towards his next item here. And it looks like we're just playing a little bit of ping pong.
Yeah, the classic mid lane ping pong right now. You push your waves back, they push the waves into you, and everybody has a good time. You all farm your minions up, and ultimately you're waiting for your team around the map to do something and for anything to happen. It's the state of mid game for AD carries, just how it happens, and Rapid Fire and Rabble here likely is going to have to step up. Oh, but here we go with the engage.
Alright, Mystical Rogue does manage to find the ultimate on Discard Rabble, and that is going to be his death, but now Rapid Fire looking to trade back. Zac is here as well. Nice ultimate from the Senna will buy a little bit more time, but Fizz will end up falling there as a beautiful Gangplank ultimate gets so much damage down onto 3 members that Rapid Fire is able to at least clean one up right there. OGN also buying a lot of time, and I like the return play.
I do as well.
Does end up, what is that, 1 for 1? 1 for 1.
One for one, yeah. The supports go down, and ultimately it's just a mid lane tier 1 going in favour of OGR right there. So, even in these fights that they aren't engaging, they're still coming out on top, able to use Cannon Barrage, UCPs, and all those types of things. the entire time. By the way, Caston is just free farming in the side lane. He's now picked himself up the tier. The Rod of Ages is almost stacked. He's got 4 stacks on a Dark Seal as well. Even though he's not in the fight, he's still, as we say, just getting stronger by the second.
Yeah, and most farm in the game as well, sitting at that 184. 20 CS under perfect CS, which is notable, but not even that much, is going to be quite strong. And we have the Dragon coming up in another minute where he'll be able to pick himself up even more. Reminder that now that he has the tier, he's going to be getting closer and closer to the point where I feel like he's uncontestable. Really, once that tier is stacked up, feels insurmountable.
It really will do. Tier of the Goddess, Seraph's Embrace upgrade. You get a shield based on your max on your current mana. If you pop that at the start of the fight, you just become so incredibly tanky that it just feels impossible to try and cut you down. And looks like he's building towards Azonias as well, so those double defensive actives make it really difficult to kill Kassadin, on top of the fact that he's got, at this point, a free flash every 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, and we see a lot of grouping up from the side of Catalyst here, as they're looking for Scarred Rabble again. Will just be flashed on and taken down. Rapid fire now, trying to burn down just Belmont. No Jan is buying so much time. There is the Cannon Barrage dealing so much damage, as well as Etherno managing to zone out Stoles, who's almost going to be taken down. Gosha has arrived, and he is here to stay. Will manage to pick up the mid laner. It is just Rapid Fire walking down the Braum here. But Gosha's trying to walk down the rest of the team. Does fall quite low. Will actually go down potentially. Does get taken down by the turret shot there. Mystical Rogue will fall as well. Urian trying to do what he can, but there's too much tankiness. Will be barreled and taken down by the Gangplank. Double kill for him, and that was a huge amount of damage coming out of that barrel. Very well farmed, has the Trinity Force for himself, and even though Gosha goes down, good God.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, isn't it? They kill the raid boss, Kassadin is down, but then you look at it and you've still got Ash and you've got Gangplank sitting in the back line.
1 for 4.
1 for 5. I think they got the ace as well. It's just so difficult for Catalyst, and I talked about the fact that it's just sort of bleeding out. This gold lead is getting bigger and bigger. The neutral objectives, all of them going the way of OGL now. Short of the first Infernal Dragon that was picked up. And then one of the Rift Heralds. There's really not been too much for Catalyst to boast about this game.
Windrake and Windrake on Kassadin and Gangplank, by the way. That's
yeah, and Zac as well, because he's able to move around a lot.
Yeah, his ultimate is going to be very well, potentially making him even faster if they do manage to pick up the soul, which isn't just one more dragon. But even just having the cooldown reduction on that ultimate is going to be providing him even more mobility. I think Stoles is just dead here. Gosha's walking up on him, has a whole level, and he's just going to Rift Walk forward. Just Belmont is in range, and looks like the slow will be enough here, but Gosha absolutely terrifying in the side lane, cannot be underestimated just yet.
Yeah, the one tier of the one Seraph's Embrace versus the fully stacked Rod of Ages, Archangel staff as well for the casting, that there really is no competition in the mid lane, and Ori having to burn ultimate to get herself away, and the casting just sort of laughing, thinking, yep, well, I've got my ultimate on a 2-second cooldown. Yours is considerably longer than that, so that's a trade positive for me.
Yeah, and Scarred Rabble, we've seen him go down in these last 2 fights. We see him just warding up on his own here. Does recognize that he's squishy and is warding alone, but he's really the only person that I feel like you can convincingly kill if you are Catalyst, Carbon. There aren't a whole lot of targets that you really have easily available to you. Gosha's certainly not one of them, and not one that you can necessarily burst through in time when you aren't as fed as some of the members on Omega Gaming Lunar. So he's really the one avenue that they have is to basically take him out and have that 4v5 and just hope that they win it.
Yeah, and I think at this point as well, I'm just going to toggle the gold that even if they take Rabble out of these lineups, they have to do it when he's solo, when he's warding. But take away the gold that Rabble has, they're still in a positive gold gain, even with Rabble dead. So I think that whilst it is an avenue, and I think it's their best, I still don't think that it's going to be enough with the state of the casting and the state of the Gangplank.
No, not just quite, and we might actually see Stoles going down here. Has managed to wander up to the top lane on his own, has no phase rush now, and could be looked for. Ghost just can walk under this tower. I think he
I
could look
think
for this, and I'm not sure if he's gonna pull the trigger on it.
I think even with the shockwave, I think Ghost is able to try and take this kill, but he's just playing safely. Just doesn't need to pull the trigger there. Doesn't need to die. The thing that he gets out of it is maybe going to be the mid tier 2 and probably the pressure on the Baron as well. But his team's got enough pressure around the map themselves, so holding off on that, maybe just a little bit of unwarranted restraint. Maybe they could have gone for that and got away with it, but either way, it's not going to alter the course of the game. The fact that Stalls didn't die there.
No, not certainly not just yet. And I mean, Cassidy now hitting level 15 is going to have the level 16 soon. Is going to be getting more powerful anyway, so it's not like he needs to look for these kills. But on the other side of that, I want to bring up that we do have the potential of the scaling Senna that we saw last game. Isn't going to be going into nearly as much squish, and so we'll have a little bit harder of a time picking up these kills, but certainly is somebody who can get quite strong, and that I'm looking to be able to sustain them through the initial Kassadin burst and hopefully manage to get another pick off.
Oh, here we go.
Looks like, Cannon Barrage is going to be so huge. Goes across 2 members. Dawning Shadow is not going to be enough. Does pick up the kill there onto the Karma, but it is just the Karma, and OGN's in the front line. Should have the passive available. Mystical Rogue actually doing quite a bit of damage. They may be able to pick up the Zac here. Kassadin is in a side wave, and Teleport will go nowhere. Rapid Fire trying to live as best he can here. Etherno should be able to kite this one out. Does have the barrels available, but will be slowed up and should be taken down here. Cassidy in the bot side, though, taking stuff away, and it is a 3 for 2. But
yeah,
even so, there goes the turret.
I'm super confused as to why we didn't get a Kassadin TP there. They literally had the perfect Kassadin TP where they just TP on the bloblets, get him engaged initially into the fight. To get so deep there that the fact that the TP didn't come through, I think if he TPs there, he won, saves his jungler, saves his top laner.
Sure.
And just goes all out and kills everybody.
You can't cancel teleport, right? Like how? You can't cancel teleport anymore. So I'm wondering how that was stopped.
It wasn't. He just didn't cast it.
Oh, thank you. Yep, that
he
makes
just
it,
didn't use it. I wanted him to use it.
I thought I saw it channeled, but
and he's doing it now, and he might be in danger.
Getting the teleport channeled now, yeah. He's gonna just jump into 4 members that they know this Drake's available, and I guess they don't want it to be rushed just yet. They still can take this team fight this time, especially because Cassidy is there. Does have to clean up. OGN, no passive available. Mystical Rogue has decided to jump into 3 members, which could certainly spell his death. Beautiful Cannon Barrage across. This time 4 members. Shockwave finds 3, but it is not going to be enough. Just Belmont is buying time, but Gosha is jumping into the backline. So many low members for him to just pick up. Will jump even further forward, picks up 2 for himself, picks up a 3rd gangplank, grabs the 4th, and that is going to be an ace coming out for Omega Gaming Lunar. I think they could just end the game here. If not, though, we see them picking up at least the mid lane inhibitor and certainly that dragon.
Yeah, I think they probably go for the end here. That team fight was just a perfect example of Cassidy at level 16 with these 2 items. The Seraphs and the Zhonya's came through, he jumped into the front line and was essentially solo tanking 3 members for the majority of that fight. They were unable to kill him, and just the damage that he put out was far too much. But they are going for the end here, Diatropa.
Yeah, they will just manage to take this down. Just Belmont doesn't even have a gargoyle, stone plate, nothing to speak of, and they could look to play for more kills here. Gosha certainly wanted to pad that KDA, but Rapid Fire is having none of it. He wants to get out, have some nice dinner for himself, and it looks like they will manage to pick up the 2-0 onto Catalyst Carbon, who honestly didn't look super weak in game 1, but game 2 felt like they just had no avenues in.
Yeah, the draft style that came through from Catalyst Carbon really limited their playmaking potential, and they tried to play to it early on with the Jarvan early on in the game, and they got some advantages, but they just weren't pressed nearly enough, and Caston just became a huge monster, became massive, and just won out the team fights outright on his own there in the end.
Yeah, he was a monster, like you mentioned, and seeing those just the Senna and Orianna grouping up right next to each other when they're both super low, you knew it was going to be a Kassadin pop-off, even if he didn't manage to get the pentakill, which, of course, always looking for some spice there. He did manage to get himself certainly a triple and was really hugely instrumental in how they won that fight. The same amount of time that was bought by just Belmont jumping into the backline with his Gargoyle Stone Pate, Stoneplate was bought by Gosha jumping in with his Zanyas and then just one-shotting the backline. Like there's no comparison between the Jarvan trying to buy time and the Kassadin buying time while actively destroying you.
He really was. It just, when we look at the damage graphs as well, that he didn't even do the most damage on the team, and that's just because the amount of pressure that he drew. They never wanted to fight around the casting. They were always taking fights elsewhere, always taking fights on the gangplank and on the Ash and things like that, letting them get the damage rack up. And we saw that the TP didn't come through from Gosha early on, and he uses it down bot lane, makes it worthwhile. They get themselves the pickup, get themselves the series, the game, all of that good stuff. Takes their record now to 4-1, I believe, in Risen.
Yeah, they should be sitting at 4-1 right now. Next week they have their makeup game from the last one that had to be rescheduled. Or is it next week?
I think
No,
it's still 2 weeks.
it's yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Excuse me. But certainly this week have put up a nice performance and have put themselves near the top of the bracket in terms of just their win to loss. Only dropping that one series is going to feel really good as we head into potentially or very very soon the second part of the split here.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think that just for me at least, that I as a Omega caster here, I'm really happy to see how this pickup of rapid fires worked out as well. Looking across the two games, didn't die a single time. And yes, Rabble did some sacrificial lambing a couple of times, kept himself or kept his AD carry safe more than anything, which is the duty of the support. So, nice to see that these guys already have that bot lane synergy. We saw 2v2 kills coming out in game number one, and I think that rapid fire here has been a good addition here to this squad.
Yeah, and we didn't see him drawing too many resources either from his team. I didn't feel like they were bending over hand and foot to get rapid fire exactly when he needed to carry the game. He was very consistent in the back the whole time and just letting his team scale to the point while maximizing the amount that he could get across the map and honestly put out a great performance for us tonight. And importantly, next week we are going to see Omega Gaming Lunar facing off against 010, who did manage to, in similar fashion, 2-0 Catalyst Carbon. So this could be a match that is maybe a little bit closer for Omega Gaming Lunar, since they will be going up against a team that has beaten the team that they have also beaten in similar fashion. So certainly a match to look out for as we bring you that one next week.
Exactly. You don't want to miss it, guys. This is definitely going to be the place to be for all of your Sunday nights, Saturday nights.
Uh, yeah. Saturday
It's
for
a
us
Sunday
here,
for
and
me. Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
exactly. Yeah, Rudude is living in the future. He understands the script already. That is going to be all from us, though, and we will be bringing you future Rudude as well as present Diatropa in the next week here, as we are going to be watching, like we mentioned, Omega Gaming Lunar versus 010 for Week 7 of the Risen Pre-Made Unstoppable. This has been Week 6, Catalyst Carbon versus Omega Gaming Lunar. Congratulations to Omega Gaming Lunar for the 2-0, and GG to Catalyst Carbon. We will see you all next time.